Hello, vlog, video blog, log of videoing. So, I think that I probably finished everything that I was talking about last time. I don't actually know because I don't remember when the last time was, or what I was doing, or really what homework I was doing yesterday, so... This, incidentally, is how you prepare for success on a Monday morning. It's very good beer, though, for the record. I like this. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. It's very exciting. So, this weekend, hi Claire. If you can see this, Claire, hello. I'm ignoring your texts. It's not because I don't love you, it's because it's recording. This weekend, I did lots of homework. I discovered the joys of scheduling all of my time on iCal, which is interesting. I'm not very good at sticking to the schedules I make for all my hours, but it's a good guideline, and it guilts you into wanting to stay productive, because you're always behind schedule. Unless you actually stick to the schedule, which I guess is possible, but I don't do it. And I finished a Russian assignment that was dreadfully overdue. I'm pretty sure that my Russian prof would hate me if I didn't obviously like the subject despite not consistently understanding or applying myself to it, or something like that. And I read some stuff. I almost finished, well, actually no, I'm like halfway through Wuthering Heights, which I think is good. I'm presenting on Wuthering Heights tomorrow. I've read the Wikipedia summary of it, and I watched a movie adaptation, and I started to watch another movie adaptation of it. So I feel like I'm probably more prepared than most of my peers to whom I'll be presenting tomorrow. Wuthering Heights is an interesting book. Everyone in it is miserable and really, really difficult to like. I kind of dig Kathy because I generally like unruly women. But she's also a huge stupid bitch a lot of the time. And Heathcliff is an ass, Edgar's a pussy, Isabella's stupid as all hell, Joseph is a religious freak, Ellen's alright. Lockwood is a total douche. I haven't really found out that much about the second generation yet, but Harrington seems alright for, you know, he at least seems to have adequate excuse to be as much of a douche as he is. He's not as much of a douche as he could be, especially considering it's a Bronte novel. He could have been much worse. So yeah, I wrote, as a result of this, for the group project we're doing tomorrow, we are putting together our version of Byronic magazine in reference to Kate Beaton and Hark a Vagrant, and how absolutely on key she is when she sort of lovingly spears Byronic heroes and that sort of shit. So as a part of this, I wrote the 3 golden rules to being a Byronic hero. And I figured it would make sense to read these. Hopefully this keeps recording. Bitch! Okay. So yeah, we're being very satirical and irreverent in this presentation, because we're in kind of a satirical irreverent. Spent an entire class watching an adaptation of Jane Eyre, the one with Timothy Dalton, and laughing our asses off at it, because Rochester and Jane are actually really socially maladjusted. They're like kind of freaks, and most of their conversations would be really uncomfortable to witness, and I feel that the Timothy Dalton version of Jane Eyre did a really good job of bringing that home, and I think that's something that's really missing from post-secondary education. It's just taking the time to observe what you're consuming, all these very important texts that we must study, and laughing at them. Because, fuck, so much of the stuff we study is completely screwed up. Like, seriously? Jane Eyre? Hi, I'm Jane Eyre. I'm an orphan. I got beat growing up. Then I went to an orphanage where everyone was religious and we didn't get to eat and everybody died of typhus. And then I became a teacher for a while and I was like, I should go somewhere else. So I advertised and I went to this crazy fucking house where there was this weird lady who went around trying to kill people, and I fell in love with my boss who's like 20 years older than me. And then when he proposed to me after of carrying on an extensive flirtation with some girl who's like way prettier and richer and probably better suited to marry him than I am, after he pretended that he was going to marry her, just to torture me, and he dressed in drag while doing it. After all of that, we were gonna get married, and then I found out that he had a wife, and it was the crazy bitch who went around killing everyone. I was like, oh my god, bitch, you can't do that. Like, we can't live in sin. This is wrong. I am a God-fearing woman. So, I ran away without my possessions because I forgot them because I'm a stupid bitch. And I ran around on the moors and I was like, oh no, I'm starving and I have no prospects in life. But then religious people saved me. Not rich religious people. People who used to be rich. People who are religious and have good breeding. And they saved me, and the guy gave me a job, and I ended up finding out that he was my cousin, and then he proposed to me in that order, which should be weird, but apparently isn't. And then I heard from afar, I heard my crazy sugar daddy calling my name, and I was like, oh god, I'm coming. God, why are you such a whiny bitch? So I went back to his house, and I found out that it had been burned down, like in the crazy prophetic dream I had. And then I found out that he was a blind gimp, and that his wife had conveniently committed suicide, possibly by accident. And so we were finally free to live together happily ever after. And then his sight came back, and I think the religious guy died. Who cares? The end. So it's good to laugh at the things we study, because a lot of them deserve it. Anyway, here are my 3 golden rules for being a byronic hero, and this is dedicated to all of the Rochester fangirls in my class. It's not always easy to tell where the line between byronic hero and unmannered lout resides. Sometimes you'll find yourself sending the ladies scurrying away when all you were trying to do was show off your brood. But Byronic Magazine's here to help you with the 3 golden rules of byronic heroism. Read on to discover how to catch your very own well-read woman with dubious taste. Number 1. Be unattractive. This may seem counterintuitive. Shouldn't a lady, after all, prefer a gentleman who is fair of face, fair still of dress? Be not fooled by these Disney myths, dear reader. A proper lover of byronic men will always prefer the beast to the prince. She may marry a more beautiful man, but she will surely never love him as she loves you. If at all possible, endeavor to be at a natural disadvantage. It is a lack of Grecian profiles and flaxen locks to which we aspire. Attempt to cultivate a permanent scowl, or a few decades on your lady love. If given a choice, opt for dark coloring. An exotic look is easier to romanticize. If you are absolutely at a loss for natural defects, attempt to find a sturdy, blunt object, and forcefully bring your face into contact with it at least 24 times. When you're done, you're sure to have a face any Bronte could love. Always remember, however, that you must endeavor to overcome your wanting physical qualities with sharp dress and adequate grooming. Slovenliness is never sexy. For an example of what not to do, observe Hareton Earnshaw. Open quote. His dress and speech were both rude. His thick brown curls were rough and uncultivated. His whiskers encroached bearishly over his cheeks, and his hands were embrowned, like that of a common labourer. Compare Hareton's shameful neglect of his full potential as a Byronic hero with his step-uncle Heathcliff's conduct. While Heathcliff began as an ill-groomed savage of a boy, upon being slighted for the better-kempt Edgar Linton, Heathcliff had the good sense to style himself as a proper Victorian gentleman before making his return to Wuthering Heights. Open quote. Now fully revealed by the fire and candlelight, I was amazed, more than ever, to behold the transformation of Heathcliff. He had grown a tall, athletic, well-formed man, beside whom my master seemed quite slender and youth-like. Pedophilia is bad. His upright carriage suggested the idea of his having been in the army. His countenance was much older in expression and decision of feature than Mr. Linton's. It looked intelligent, and retained no marks of former degradation. A half-civilized ferocity lurked yet in the depressed brows and eyes full of black fire, but it was subdued, and his manner was even dignified, quite divested of roughness, though too stern for grace. End quote. Here we see the Byronic hero in full strength, at a disadvantage compared with Edgar in certain ways, but not so unfortunate as to be hideous. Heathcliff has capitalized on his better features by means of good posture, basic hygiene, civilized dress, Victorian repression, and purple prose. Find out what your best and worst features are, and use them to full effect. And remember, bathing is your friend. Number 2. Be rich. This at least any reader should understand. To obtain the manners, posture, and apparel necessary to succeed with rule number 1, a Byronic hero must have the adequate funds to obtain a proper education, advantages of class. Yes, a proper education. Then there's a period. Remember that Heathcliff was only sexy after he learned to amass fortunes. Beyond the obvious advantages of class, comfort, and civilization that a good fortune lends itself to, money has a more practical purpose for your beloved lass. No Byronic hero falls for idiot women. One need only look at Edward Rochester's treatment of Blanche Ingram or Heathcliff's of Isabella Linton for proof. To cultivate the fiery spirit that captures the rogue heart of a Byronic hero, a woman must have a sharp mind, and to have the time to develop a sharp mind, a woman needs money. Remember that, prior to Virginia Woolf, a lady could not simply have an aunt die and leave her a regular stipend to cultivate her talents. In the Victorian era, she needed a brooding, borderline abusive man to provide for her. Be that man. If necessary, fortunes can be acquired through deceit, crime, gambling, and failed marriages. Number 3. Be a huge, nearly unbearable pain in the ass. It doesn't matter whether it's a crazy, secret, murderous wife in the attic or calculated manipulation of your lady love and everyone around her. Find a way to bugger up the life of your object of affection, and remember to always pair your questionable actions with a wild, unreasonable, and unpredictable temper, heavy on the sulking and brooding. Women, you must remember, are capricious and bored, and need a man to be the biggest, most unfathomable nuisance possible to remember to pay any attention to him. Does her affection seem to be waning? Elope with her sister-in-law, or get nearly burned to death, or threaten to marry another woman, or send her into a hysterical fit. Remember that she is not allowed to have a moment's peace from you. She certainly can't be allowed to dwell on a subject other than you for more than a few hours at a time. Be sure always to temper your compliments with a good deal of irrational behavior and glowering looks. Be sure to deceive her at every turn. Above all, remember that a good Byronic hero never plays the gentleman, unless she seems really, really pissed off this time, or if he goes blind and gimpy. With these 3 rules, reader, you'll be set to enter the infamous annals of Byronic heroism in no time. Now, go forth and distract your women from men with any interest in healthy, supportive relationships. And I've just about run out of time, so that's it. Now I am going to do a Russian thing. I hope that you enjoyed it.